Hey guys, it's Jamie here, and for today's tutorial we're going to go through some of the page designs, adding flips, envelope pockets, just interesting bits and pieces. To start, I thought I would show you this book that I picked up secondhand from eBay for £2. Look at the size of it. Free postage as well, was on offer. If you can find this book, I would highly recommend it. Often people complain with junk journals that there's no space to write. However, you can take these kind of ideas and a page from your journal that's just a plain paper page and say, well, I can take this idea of a border, use some of my ephemera from the kit and just create a decorated border, and that person is still left with a writing space. However, I've now added some extra decoration to that page. Therefore, seeing layouts like these are ways to think, how can I incorporate that into a junk journal page and still leave people space to write? From this book, I've grabbed a couple of things that we'll be using later. A page that was a map of Paris. And you have actually got a similar idea page in your kit, which is that one. These, just because I can cut a couple of those elements out and they're small enough that if they went on one of my pages, they're not going to take up too much space, whereas some of the images in the book are quite large. Now we're going to go on to look at adding some decorations to pages that are already created. The first page that goes in here is going to be the first page that's seen when you open the junk journal. Therefore, I wanted something decorative that we're not going to do anything to. It says Paris, inside is blank, and on the back we have that pocket. Using the idea from the big Paris book that I've just shown you, I'd like to add a decoration to this page, but I just think adding it simply isn't very interesting. I have here a book page, and I'm going to initially add this decoration to the book page, and I'm going to roughly tear around the whole thing. I'm going to create a bit more of a cluster with this. I have some general ephemera from freebies within the group, which I'd like to add, but I also want to add some ink to the edges, and I'll be using the frayed burlap, which is the colour we've used to edge the pages, to bring that colour into that cluster. I'm also going to take one of my stamps and a black ink pad and do a bit of a smudgy stamp over some of this as though someone's travelling. For added interest, I'm going to run this through the sewing machine. I am not the best at sewing. I've used a golden colour thread because I think it's neutral. I didn't want anything white, too new looking. I'm going to place this on the page now. I quite like that as a page decoration. I think it's understandable that you can write on this part. On the other side, I may well just add an element from one of the other kits that I've still got left over, for example those peonies, and again you then have some writing space around the top. On the back we have this long pocket. I'm going to quickly look through the elements. I have these Paris postcards. I could put a couple of those in, which means that someone could just write on those and make notes on those. However, we have this pocket here, and it would be quite nice to find a decoration or something for that pocket. Have this that says Paris. I could make this an additional tuck spot, so I might do that. And we would then have a double side pocket. That is the first set of pages that are going to go into the journal. Next page you can just choose from any of your elements, so I may well go for one of the floral faux vellums, which we don't need to do anything to. And then I think the next one I might do is this book page. Don't want to do anything to the front, however the inside's going to need some work. And possibly what I'd like to do is create some kind of collage. Something I found which is a really nice coincidence is that this piece of card had actually been double printed with that. So where I'd already selected these to be put together, I could then place this onto here and create a flip. Would probably want to add some decoration to that down this edge where it's quite severe. For example, that photo of the lady that could go over both. Having added those elements, I'm also thinking I want to add some travel type ink stamps. I'm going to add some stitching on the inside of this. I've added the stitching along one edge and also around the picture. I'm going to put this into the page and trim up any excess. That's now all in place. However, I feel this is a little dull. I'm going to add a picture to here, but cut it down to fit. That's slightly better. Here's the flip finished with a bit of stitching added and some stamping. Opens to a plain page that you can write on, and you can write round here. On this side, I don't want my journal getting too bulky, so I'm going to take some scraps, edge them with that frayed burlap and put them together just to make a stripy type page. I've placed our French page into the book. The next page I want to place into the book will be this one, which is the papers and something from our paper collection. I'm possibly going to take this map of Paris because I think the colourways will work, and tear a pocket. I'm going to edge that. I've decided to add a couple of elements to the map. I think I'm going to, yeah, just to give it something. Also got these little notelets that I made from printing the Paris paper smaller and using some of our paper collection on the inside. Those can go actually into the pocket so they have somewhere to write. As you can tell, this journal is becoming quite eclectic. It's actually a style I like. The next page I'm going to put in will be a completely plain page. We already have a page that's going to be quite interesting. That will sit like that and then flip. To make the tiny ephemera that's going to go into these small pockets, double pocket here and a tall narrow pocket here, I've used scraps of paper and taken some of the tickets and stubs and things like that from the free group and backed them. I will then, once that glue's dry, do some sewing around the edges, cut everything out and distress the edges. All of these little pieces now have stitch work on them and have been backed and stained. They are just going to go into these pockets. I do have a title of ephemera which I might put on this pocket. We're going to do it slightly differently by having that as the turning point. Do we want to put something on the front? Quite possibly. In my French ephemera tray, I found this piece of pretend handwriting that is in French, a small piece of ephemera that has already been edged, and a tulip from the tall tulips leftovers. I think that looks much prettier. In terms of things to go in these pockets, I don't want anything too thick. I've just realised I've got all of these papers that would make a small booklet. However, what I could do to help straighten out these inserts is place these on the papers and cut them down to be journaling cards. I have completed doing these journal cards for the pockets. I would like to finish with a page that you can write on and also one that is slightly decorated, that is the central page and shows the Eiffel Tower, and I think that is Notre Dame. That is quite a chunky traveller's journal. I may even attach a Velcro dot here and here just to help that stay shut. I have one of the smaller Velcro dots, and the way I'm going to attach it is to put it together initially, put it onto one side of this, pull it over, rub that, gently separate it. Let's finish with a quick run through of what's in our Paris Traveller's Journal. It starts with a plain page and a picture of Paris. You then have a decorated page with a writing space below it, the faux vellum, another writing page, the page from the Paris book. We have our flip page from the kit. This is another flip page that's been decorated with the small pieces of sewn ephemera. The map page, which has the pockets for more pieces of ephemera that can be written on and have been backed in the kit papers and the paper pack. A writing page, and then our central scene, the other half of that double pocket, a small pocket which has some bits of ephemera in it, a journaling page, a decorated journaling page, the torn map deep pocket that has the two booklets in it, more writing area, the other part of that faux vellum, another writing area, and at the very back a side pocket with some more ephemera. And then that wraps around to form a handbag or a clutch purse style journal.